So guys, it's been a pretty tough week. I moved to Bangkok. I got my apartment here for some time. I was trying to set up everything and still kind of keep up with trading and stuff. I built my office here in Bangkok to be able to trade at my apartment, which is really cool. And so now I want to go to the charts, like we used to do every single week. I know these reviews are typically not the most popular on the channel, it's not what people watch the most, but I want to do it today just for my own clarity and for you guys to be able to understand what I trade more and what I look at on a weekly basis. So we'll go through the charts, we'll go through some example of trades from the past week, we'll go through kind of what went well for my week, what didn't go well, and kind of just a plan on how to improve for the coming weeks. So now I've got this like big huge monitor, which is making it much easier to be able to look at the chart. And I'll go through different pairs. So I've just this past week gone through all my zones again. I felt like some zones were kind of out of date, some zones were not at the place where they should be exactly. And sometimes like you just lose pace of the market. So it's better to kind of go back, I would say every month to go through your zones. If you want to do it every week, that's fine. But keep in mind that takes time. Just go back every month, go through your zones and see how you can modify them or just go from scratch, which is what I did the past week. I erased everything and went from scratch. So we'll look at all the pairs for now for this week and what you can expect from every pair and how you trade it in different cases. I'm gonna go here on the daily chart to go through the pairs because that's what we can kind of use as the best to be able to look at a weekly kind of basis. So if you look at a weekly chart, it's good, but the thing is that I cannot talk about much because they only change once per week. You only have one candle per week. So with these charts over here, the daily chart, I'll be able to kind of go through the charts and give you some tips for every pair, okay? Even though I personally tend to rely more on the weekly chart, I want to give you here a bit of background with the daily chart, okay? So first pair we'll look at is AUD CAD. Now this pair is, as you will see here, it is approaching, so it's been out of a support area. Support was over here, price broke support, and now we're kind of like in a different phase. So in my case, here I would either kind of trade trends, or I will go for the next zone that we can trade at. And the next zone, if you go and zoom out a little bit, is around here at 0.188. So a zone that we've touched a long time ago. Okay, back in really a long time ago, back in over here. So back in 2010. So it's just pretty crazy. But that would be the next one to look at. Okay. Now, if you apply what I teach, which is really important to apply, I believe, the market phase, you can still trade in between. Okay. You don't have to wait for that zone. Unless you want to have like a really strong trade, that would be the zone to look at. But if you just want to kind of take trades and trade on lower time frame along the way, totally fine. Okay. So the way we do this is that we look at the market phase. I'm just going to start over here to have it simply. This is the best way to do things. You draw a new chart. So here I'll see this was a downtrend. Okay. We'll pull back up. We make this high. Now we make this low. Okay, this high, this low. And so this was the whole downtrend up to here where we kind of go back at the same high. Now this becomes a sideways phase. So a kind of foundation phase, okay, or consolidation, whatever you want to call it, totally fine. And then we go back down. Okay, and then we make this low, this high, and then we don't seem to be breaking the low. Okay, so we're starting now a second one, a foundation or consolidation in the market. And basically this means that you'll be trading two things in that case. Okay, either you'll be trading breakouts, so breakouts of that zone above or below. Okay, you might want to do like only with the trends, only below breakdowns. If you are going to trade breakouts, the issue you have with this is that you're going to hit into this zone, which is 0.91, a past support, turning into now a resistance area. Okay, it's a little bit tricky to trade that zone. Just be careful. So if you're going to trade a breakout, take profit along the way, because that's the place here where you could look for also a pullback trade. Okay, so move up there, then selling on that test of the zone, because we didn't test it yet, that zone. Okay, so that's the other possibility. Now, the other thing you can do with that case here, with the sideways market we have, is you're gonna sell at the top and buy at the bottom. Okay, expecting price to go back up in the other direction. Now, I would say here that would be more maybe safe to sell at the top, not buy the bottom, because remember you're facing like a downtrend. Okay, so that would be what I kind of look for on that pair. But so for me, I'm gonna step away for now because I don't really trade these kind of small ranges, and I'll basically wait for price to either hit this zone over here, 0.91, or go back to the other zone we looked at before, 0.88. Okay, which are two big important zones. And I'll go on lower time frame, like a forward chart, and that's where I'll be trading on these time frame forward chart and 1 hour chart to take trades. Okay, and if you guys want to know more about what setup I use, which we'll cover later in this video also, if you want to know the setup I use exactly, we'll put the link below for a course on that. It's a free course. You can go through everything, the whole strategy I have, the things I look for, all the conditions, the rules, exceptions, things to do, not to do. Course below linked, of course, and you can go through that at your own pace whenever you want. Okay, so let's get back to the daily chart and move on to AUD/JPY, which these pairs will do the same, okay, because they're all in the same kind of similar place. Now AUD/JPY is a little bit different because this one is coming back to a support, 70.6. Okay, and it's not the round number, not exactly, but this is where we kind of crashed here earlier this year, in beginning of January, so really early this year. And now we're coming back to that place. Okay, I believe if you scroll back in time too, you'll see that price went there in the past as well. Okay, or like close to it. Like this was pretty close. This is pretty much on the level. Okay, so good place to look for bullish trades, in my opinion. Even though it's kind of far, but you can still look for bullish trades, in my opinion. Okay, and now if we look at the market phase, we have the same example here. So we had this downtrend over here. We had the kind of constellation over there. Price not doing much. And then remember, that's where you'll be trading breakout or breakdowns. We had a breakdown, pretty strong one. And now we come back over here with another consolidation. Okay. Now this means that in my case, this is a perfect example. This is really good because it means that we are at the strong support and we are kind of going sideways. Okay, so a good place to look for either buying at the low. Okay, that would be like my ideal setup, or buying on a breakout of that range. Okay, expecting price to go higher, and it's especially good here because we have the zone in our side and the sideways market. Okay, which would make sense because like if you just buy a breakout anywhere, like a breakout like over here, that's fine, but you're not at the zone, and you better kind of trading at the zone as opposed to buying or selling anywhere in the chart. Okay, so I'll be looking for bullish trades in that pair, and the way I do this is I'll go on lower time frame, like the 1 hour chart and the 4 hour chart. I'll take on my Bollinger Band, and the Bollinger Band will give me a setup that I want to look for. Okay, and we did have a trade on this, by the way, so full disclosure, we have a trade on this. I'm in the trade right now with the same principle. On the 4 hour chart, let's just go on the 4 hour chart over here, make this bigger for you guys. So price came down to the zone. Okay, yeah, so push back up, did the sideways thing that's like boring, and then it came back to the zone over here. Okay, this place right there, and then that's where we get a big wick, kind of like a big wick. Call this however you want, doesn't really matter. And then after the wick, we over here we get an engulfing candle. It's kind of like a weird looking engulfing candle here, but it's still engulfing. So we close beyond the high of the previous one, which is really awesome. And then we make a big wick, but it doesn't matter if you get this. So the way I do this is we enter beyond the high, stop loss below the low, and then reward to risk in that trade is going to be 1-to-1 and 3-to-1. Okay, so 1-to-1 might be around here. We're not there yet, so we're still in the trade at full size. And then 3-to-1 is going to be somewhere else. Okay, over here. You might want to take profit before the zone. That's a possibility here. If you want to kind of be careful, take profit before the next zone, which is here at 74.5. Okay, that's a pretty important zone. So up to you how you want to do things. For me, I don't care, but you could do it if you want. Okay, and that's a trade. So for now, price pushed back up, came back down, pushed back up again with an engulfing candle over here, which is and that's kind of hard to see, but engulfing candle over here. Okay, and that's the trade for now. Okay, so we're still in it, and we'll wait for price to do something. But that's a pretty strong trade because of the level, of course. Always, you guys have to remember that always the context is more important than the setup. So you might have a pretty good setup, but the context matters a lot. Whether you day trade or swing trade, okay? And we didn't have any setup on the 1 hour chart so far for that pair, but we can still look for them in the future. So if you're not in this for now, you can look for other setup, okay? And yeah, so you guys can kind of see the whole course about the strategy, of course, if you want to learn how to use it. Same principle as always. Now we'll go back on the daily chart to go to AD and ZD. This one is going back to a resistance area at 1.07. So many touches here in the past, good place for bearish trades. Again, with the same principle as before, the Bollinger Band. So for me, I look at the Bollinger Band reversals, and like I showed you before. So here we had nothing so far. We just reached the zone. Okay, this candlestick here was not breaking outside the Bollinger Band, so we cannot use that as a valid setup. And this one here is not engulfing, so we're gonna have to wait. And price might be there for a while. Like, it doesn't mean that because it's at the zone, you need to trade. You need to kind of, I prefer actually to wait, look for the right setup to appear, and then take the trade. Okay, which might take time, might not be like right now, might take a few weeks or a few days. That's totally fine. Okay, but that's a really good place to look for bearish setup. And again, you could look at this on different factors. So you can have a big sideways market here with the market phase. So big sideways market, which is kind of good. Okay, so you look for either, once you said, buying at the low or selling at the top. Okay, in our case, we'll be selling at the top because that's like where we're at right now. And yeah, that's pretty much what it looks like. If you don't look like within this, well, we had a trend over here. Now we're having another trend over here, but you don't trade with the trend in that case because we're more in a bigger picture sideways market on that pair. Okay, so that's about it for this one. Pretty straightforward, I think, pretty simple. We'll move on to AUD USD for now, which is doing the same thing as the other pairs before. Same thing as AUD GPY, so we'll no need to cover that too much. But we're in a trend over here. Came out of sideways market. Kind of had a false breakout, but we went back to the top of or to the zone. Then we came back down straight really fast, and then we get this like really boring sideways market. But that's good for us because we can look for buying at the low or selling at the top. In that case, I won't sell at the top because we are in a pretty major support zone. Okay, we've bounced in the past before, and that means that basically, now we bounce over here a little bit. That means that you look for buying at the low, both on Bollinger Band, that's what I do. If you have a breakout strategy, you'll be looking to buy the breakout on that pair. Okay, and if you don't have a breakout, that's fine. Price might also fall below, and that's where you look for your next zone on the chart. Okay, which is totally fine. So in both cases, you're still winning. Either you take a trade or you wait for the next zone. But you don't want to take a trade just for a trade. You want to take a trade because that makes sense in the market. So far, I don't believe we had any setup on this. I'll just have a look quickly. We made this, which is not engulfing at all. We did have one over here, but we didn't go 5 pip beyond the high on the 1 hour chart. So I've got this rule where, and that's also in the course that I've linked below for you guys. We've got this rule where if price doesn't go 5 pip beyond the high on the next candlestick, then you don't enter the trade, because that's not a valid trade for us. So in that case, it would have been good, but in general, it's not really a good trade. And that's pretty much it for that pair for now. So we gotta wait and see what price does, see what setup appear, but we're pretty good for now. Now we'll move to AUD, to CAD CHF actually. CAD CHF is sort of like between two zones. We had this kind of weird sideways market here, trending a little bit. Price broke above. I'm just gonna go on a daily chart to make it proper. So yeah, so daily chart a little bit different. Basically, price was above the zone. We touched back here many times. Price bounced pretty strongly every time. Now it broke the level, came back here to retest. We didn't have any trade on this. So basically what we do now is, because we're kind of past the zone, we're gonna wait for price to come back to the zone and retest again, and then look for a bullish trade to the upside. The other possibility, of course, is if price were to kind of break down. The other possibility is if price were to break down, then you'll be looking for a move to the upside and then selling on that resistance over here. Okay, so both ways would work. For now, we're kind of just in between. We did not have any setup over here that we could short, so we'll just have to wait on this pair. Okay, and yeah, we didn't have anything over here. Euro AUD, these are flagged in yellow, these two pairs, Euro AUD, Euro CAD, because I believe they're not exactly where you want to take trades. Let me see over here. Well, it seems like now price is about to break this level. Okay, so my initial thought here was to be able to buy because price broke the level. Okay, so uptrend. So we had an like uptrend here, sideways market, came back down, uptrend, and now sideways market. Okay, but it seems like we came back to retest the level, went back up, came back down right away. So not really a strong level. It seems like price might break the level. And with that intensity, what I'll do is I'll wait for price to do something, show us that it wants to go back in between, and then maybe kind of go and sell at the resistance. Or maybe price is going to kind of bounce quickly back up, and that's where we can look for bullish trades. Okay, so I'm not quite sure on this because price just seems to kind of have gone back up but lost momentum. Maybe that's a way where like people are buying here, putting stop loss below. Okay, putting the stop loss like below here, and the stop loss is going to be triggered by this market, and then price will push back up. Very possible, because we'll have to see kind of what happens here. I'm still bullish on this, but I'm kind of careful a little bit more than usual. Okay, so if we don't want to see a good trade setup on this, if we have like a really strong one with the Bollinger Band like we shared before, that would be a good case. But for now, we're kind of more sideways, and I feel like price is going to go back down. But of course, that's just a feeling, and as no feelings don't really have their place too much in trading, okay, unless like you really see evidence in the market. So it's gonna be interesting to look at. And same thing with Euro CAD, it's doing pretty much the same. So Euro CAD is in a kind of weird triangle thing where price was sideways in the past. Okay, I'll just make this bigger for you guys. Price was sideways over here, came back down, so break down. Came back down, sideways market again, pushed back up, and then we had a few good trade at this area over here as the retest of the previous support, now a resistance area. That was really good. Now price coming back down, but it seems like now the only thing we got to do is we can't like really buy on this because that's not really, that's more like a trending market to the downside. So we're not gonna buy on this. We're gonna wait for the next zone, and the next zone will be over here at 1.42. Okay, so good place to look for bullish trades. But oh, actually, so this one over here, 1.45 before 1.42. That would be the next place to look for trades. Okay, so we kind of have the push, we had the pullback. Now we look for the next zone to be able to look for bullish trades. Okay, on that pair, and seems like we'll get there pretty quickly. So that's gonna be a good place to look for bullish trades. Now for Euro GBP, a pair that's coming back here at a pretty good moment to retest a resistance that's now support. So price broke of this level pretty strongly. So we had this, we'll just go back. We had this sideways market over here, break above. So the breakout right there at the zone. Just do a breakout. Breakout, trend, sideways a little bit, then breakout again. And then we came back all the way up, came back, didn't really respect this level so far, but came back over here at 0.93, 0.90, yeah, 3, and came back to retest this, and now we can look for bullish trades over here to the upside. Okay, so we're gonna look on, of course, lower time frame as we trade on this, and the lower time frame for now didn't give any setup. I'm just gonna zoom in a little bit. So this was not really strong. And this over here was that we didn't have any setup either on this, so we're gonna have to wait. But this is a pretty good place. The only thing is that here the Bollinger Band is quite tight, so we need to be careful about this middle band of the Bollinger Band, where if price pushes beyond the middle band, then we don't take shares in that pair. Okay, it's a little bit of a tricky situation, but still good. Euro USD is, we'll see, breaking a level. So that's kind of a little bit surprising because usually you see the past few days or past few months were pretty boring, but now that's good that it's breaking the level. So what we do is that now we are going to look at two things. So the first thing on the right chart is we can look at price retesting this level. Guess the price would go over here, would retest this area like this. We'll be looking for bear trades at that zone. Okay, we didn't have any retest so far, just a breaks. That's a good thing. Or the second option is to wait for price to hit the next level at 1.085, and that's where we can look for bullish trades. Okay, that's the zone where we've bounced in the past over here. It's a pretty strong area, okay, to look for bullish trades. So pretty strong. The other one will be over here at 1.05. So those are the zones I look at for now. Okay, so two scenarios, and you kind of adapt based on the scenario. Okay, so you'll be turning this, of course, on lower time frame, in my opinion. Next pair is GBP CAD, which is just kind of pushing up from a level. We had this 1.59, 1.60 level, which we could trade at, a bullish area, and our price just pushed above. So we're gonna have to wait on this pair for either price to hit the 1.66 area, which is gonna be a little bit tough, but we'll see, or we'll have to wait for the next on that pair. Okay, so we've got two options. Keep in mind we are in a downtrend, and now price seems to kind of make maybe a sideways market with this, because we got these highs, and this high is higher than this high before. Okay, so we're not really trending too much, so we'll have to see what price does and act accordingly, of course. But for me now it's gonna be more like a waiting game for that pair, waiting a little bit more. Now for JPY CHF, a good kind of play for trending markets. If you like to trade trends, that's a really good pair. Okay, so price was over here a long time ago, back in February to around April or June, wasn't a sideways market. Okay, so sideways market over here, we broke down, and since then we've been kind of pretty much only trending down. Okay, so we had these like small consolidations, but that I don't really kind of consider part of the, I don't consider to be outside of the trend. They're kind of like with the trend. So price just moved all the way here to 1.166 or 16.7, and that's when we kind of push back up. And then we have this zone 1.2 and 1.225. There are good places where we bounced in the past, and we could look for bearish trades of those. Okay, so I'm just gonna scroll back to kind of see what happened with this. Here's where price bounced in the past, 1.20, 1.20, and then we have 1.22, so 1.225, and that could be good places to look for bearish trades. Okay, kind of like as a retest. So keep in mind this is like really good because price is in a strong trend, pushing back up, testing the new levels, and that's where you can be looking for really good trades in that pair. Okay, so you got to look for two levels. So one is here and one is over there. Okay, it's gonna be up to you which one you pick. If you have a setup over here before, you can take that, I believe. If you have a setup later, you can take that also. Okay, depending on like how price behaves. And so far we didn't have anything on these pairs, so I'm just gonna kind of look over here. But we have no engulfing candle so far on the 1 hour chart. No, and we have nothing on the 4 hour chart either. So we're gonna have to wait and see kind of which level price goes to. Is it like the one further, 1.225 or 1.20? One thing is sure is that the trend is pretty strong to the downside, and you want to kind of work with that same thing. Okay, next pair we'll look at is JPY in the list, a pair that's coming back. Just gonna make this on the daily chart. So pair that's coming back here to 1.127. That's where you are looking for bullish trades. Now I'm still looking for bullish trades in that pair because of the fact that we are kind of sideways. We're not trending anymore. We're kind of starting out a sideways market. So I expect price to come out, kind of go back down. And like I was in sideways market, you buy at the low, sell the top. So no selling in that case. I'll be looking to buy at this zone and expecting price to go higher. Okay, on a bigger picture thing, we are pretty much in this big sideways market. So we had this touch over here in the past, back in 2017 or 2016, and now we're going back there. So that could be a good place to look for bullish trades. If not, price might break down. That's fine. That's why you'll be looking for the retest of 127. Okay, so a breakdown, a retest of that zone, right? So for now, I would want price to come back down to this level or show us some kind of breakout above, and that's where we could be looking to buy on that pair. Now GP and ZD, we had a pretty good trade last week. I shared this with you guys earlier in another video, which we can link below, of course. So if you want to look at the trade we had in that pair, that's going to be linked below. So now price is between two zones. I'm just going to unflag this for now. Price is coming back up, and we're going to have to wait for. We had this level over here, which I removed because we didn't respect it much. But now the next level is here, 1.96, where you can look for bearish trades in that pair. Okay, and so far now price is like trending up. So you see what price does at that level. But for now, it's more like a waiting game on that pair. Okay, and we had, of course, other touches there, other reversals there in the past. So that's kind of like the next one I'll look at on that pair. Okay. GBP/USD is also coming back to retest a support at 1.21. So price was sideways. Let's make this bigger. So price was sideways here in the past, broke down slowly. Here we had a downtrend. Price came back here as a sideways market, broke above, and now it's coming back over here to retest the sideways market. Okay, so good place, really good place in my opinion to look for bullish trades on that pair. Bullish trades, all that could bring you all the way to here, 1.25. But that's a really good thing. So we have a sideways, we broke out, came back to retest the same level, which is pretty cool. So that's really awesome. And that's what I'll be looking for bullish trades on the 1 hour chart and the 4 hour chart. So for now, I don't think we had anything on these pairs. So the 1 hour chart is pretty, no, we had nothing there. And the 4 hour chart either. So we're gonna have to wait. But that's a pretty good market context to look for bullish trades, I believe. Okay. And as always, if you guys have a different opinion on that, if you have a different way of seeing things, make sure you comment below. Let me know. I'm kind of curious to hear your thoughts and your view of the market. That's always good to know. But those are my views of the market at this point. Okay. And so the CAD going back to support, good place to look for bullish trades on a really strong downtrend. That's gonna be interesting to look at. But we're coming back to where we're back over here in October 2018. That's where I look for bullish trades on that pair. Okay. Let's just see what price does. So here we had nothing so far, and here we had nothing so far either. Okay, but that's a really good place to look for bullish trades on that pair. Okay, and we're almost done with the list. I'll go through these ones quickly. USD CAD is not at the level yet, sideways, but not at the zone so far. So we're gonna have to wait for price to hit the zone at 1.34. Zones look for reversals back to the downside. Okay, but for now we're not quite there yet, so we have to wait a little bit. And USD/JPY is coming back to the zone, also sideways. You want to buy the low, not sell at the top because we're more at the support zone for now. But that's a cool thing. So we'll see what price does. I believe we had a trade on this earlier. We had a trade right here, actually. So on, I think that was like Friday. So now we are Sunday. We had a trade over here. So engulfing candle, you put your stop loss below the low. Price broke out 5 pip above the high on the next candlestick, so we're good with that. So first take profit 1 to 1, second one at 3 to 1. Okay, which is gonna be like further here. And so for now, price just went up, came back down. We'll see what happens with this, but that's a pretty good place to take a bearish trade. So we're not like at the low of the range. So we're not like at the very low of the range so far, but we're close. So I'm still looking for bullish trades on this, and the reward to risk here is pretty good on that pair. Okay, because we can expect price to go all the way to 1.09, which is pretty good. Okay, so that's it for USD/JPY. And the last pair I'll look at is over here. USD SJD. So this pair was really kind of over here back. I'll just kind of take a big picture of you. So back over here was in the sideways market. We broke, we made another sideways market, broke again, breakout again. Uptrend, sideways market, came back down. Over here we had a downtrend, came back into sideways market, and now break out over here, push back up above, and now we're getting into another sideways market, where basically what we do now is we are, let's just see, we are beyond this level. So we're coming back to kind of retest the level that we broke before. Level is 1.38. We're coming back to retest this, and that's where you can look for, in my opinion, bullish trades on this pair. Okay, so we had like a good setup over here, but not going 5 pip beyond the high, so we're not gonna take that. And that was it for now. So we can wait for more trades on this pair. Okay, and that's a pretty good setup. But for now, we are gonna just wait. Okay, see what happens on that pair. Other possibility we have is, I believe, this right here at 1.39 is a resistance area, because we've been there in the past. So we kind of like in between two zones. So either you trade this lower support on short term, or you wait for the other level above. Okay, and that's where you can kind of look for bearish trades on that pair if you want. So up to you, up to what you think, up to what you see. But if you go on the, and always like the bigger time frame here is gonna be the deciding factor. So if we go back to see on a weekly chart, okay, we'll see that the really most important kind of factor here is this one right there. So that could be a good zone to look for bearish trades, or again you could look for this one. So both are valid on from what I see on that chart. You just have to kind of trade intraday and on lower time frame to be able to make money from both zones. If you trade on like the higher time frame, like a daily chart, you're kind of two in between the zones. You're not gonna have enough room for profit on that pair. Okay, so guys, that kind of wrap it up overall. I appreciate you guys always for watching these videos. I hope that was useful, of course. Comment below with your thoughts on this. I want to hear your question, your comments in the comment section. Here, as always, are 3 comments for the past video. We appreciate you guys for leaving your comments, as always, in the comment section. And also, if you want to be able to kind of get alerts for the setup over here that I've showed you, get alerts for trades that I take with your zones that you decide to trade, which are the same as I have. I'll put a link below for that. We have the trading assistant to be able to get some alerts for the trades like this with the bonus band. Really good setup in my opinion. I've been using this for about 5 years now, the same setup, which works really well. You can have alerts for this on your chart. We will put the link below for that, of course. And I'll catch you guys back here pretty soon. Ciao.